What's up YouTube, BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. We are talking about the new Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker. But I wanted to take a little different angle at it. We've had plenty of reviews and opinions already on the movie. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, little things here and there maybe that you didn't know, but I'm going to try and focus on everything that we do know of, because it's not going to be really a review of the movie itself. It's going to be more so the idea of why we keep setting ourselves up for failure in terms of not just movies, but everything. The way that we advertise everything, the way that we hype everything up, it's just inevitably setting up for final product release failure. And it's not really the product's fault. Some of it is. I mean, to be honest with you, they could have picked anybody that would have probably done a better job than J.J. Abrams. If you go down the list of Abrams' stuff, his biggest claim to fame is Mission Impossible 3, and I mean, it's not like everybody's going, oh, you know, Mission Impossible 3, that's as good as GoldenEye, you know, like, it's not exactly like he's got a track record of Superfly hits. I think he did a really good job with the Star Trek remake, but I also believe that that was actually mostly written by Gene Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek in the first place. So he had a lot of really good material to work with, and kind of hard to, I mean, if you have a really good script, it's kind of hard to everything up. All you got to do is shoot it, you know, let the writing do the work for you. You could see when he had his principal hand in Star Trek 2, the Wrath of Khan remake, it was utter garbage. And for the most part, as a Star Wars movie, both The Force Awakens and The Return of the Rise of Skywalker is hot garbage. They are not very well put together. They're really incoherent. There's all of a sudden a bunch of questions being asked that weren't being asked before, because that's the only thing J.J. Abrams can do is throw in things to, I mean, he's really good at throwing stuff in to make people question why it was thrown in there. He's horrendous at answering those questions and how they fit in the world. Just look at Lost. Lost was 10 seasons of utter garbage that I called 3 episodes into season 1, and I said, this guy's got no idea where he's going, what he's doing. This is going to be a bunch of questions and 0 answers. 10 years later, there was a bunch of questions and 0 answers. The movie that he's probably most recognized for, probably his cult classic, is Cloverfield. And that's not even a movie he did. He just produced Cloverfield. Matt Reeves actually wrote and directed that one. So, again, J.J. Abrams, not the guy that everybody seems to think he is. He is actually, looks like a film student who was given the privilege of getting to create all of his favorite movies. He just forgot how to actually make interesting movies. Either way, as a standalone project, The Rise of Skywalker is actually a pretty decent movie if you watch that one and only that one, and that's like your whole idea of Star Wars lore. There's a great setup. There's it's an okay setup because most people know who these people are, but there's good enough setup. There's a pretty decent little middle piece, and then again, for a movie, for a standalone movie, pretty decent ending to it. There's some plot twists in there, but as a Star Wars movie, it's utter garbage, hot garbage. It actually kind of takes all the rules in the canon of the previous 8 movies and shats all over them, because no one really cares about the first 8 movies. But either way, I digress. I went off on a little tangent there. That is not what we're focused on. What we are focused on today, in this video in particular, is how that Star Wars movie never had a chance to begin with. And it's not really completely J.J. Abrams' fault. Part of it is Disney. They buy, you know, part of it is Disney, part of it is George Lucas selling out to Disney, Disney ruining everything that they've ever touched, because they have to fit the mold of whatever the new hot narrative is. So that's why you have a complete studio. And again, nothing completely wrong with this, but you have a studio that's completely run by a bunch of people who had never heard of Star Wars before. Kathleen Kennedy, the woman in charge of Star Wars, said something to the quote of, "It's not like we have a history of canon to go with. We're just kind of making it up as we go along." Don't have a whole canon? There's 6 movies before you took over. There was an entire comic book series. There were several video games. Just endless amounts of lore and content to deal with. And she spouts something, "I never heard of Star Wars before. What's that? I never heard. Oh my goodness. I don't know Star Wars. Oh, this sounds so cool." Like, come on, man. Come on. You can't possibly be in the movie industry and never heard of Star Wars before. Like, you gotta be kidding me with this. But again, getting off topic. So, first of all, they have terrible filmmakers making this movie. And on top of that, these terrible filmmakers apparently have avoided all sorts of nerd culture for their entire lives. So they have no idea what they're doing. They're just trying to make it up on a whim. Which one is bad enough, but 2 is the hype behind it. We do this with everything. So let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 was one of the most hyped releases of last year, and everybody that I knew that loved Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 hated Kingdom Hearts 3. It was too far in between. It was too much hype for a game that looked like it took them about a year to put together. And so, way overhyped. You get this feeling of, oh man, this is going to be the greatest game of all time. And then it comes out and it's basically just a sequel to the original. And you're like, I played this game 10 years ago. I was more excited for it 10 years ago. So the excitement that you had for this game totally ruins any good aspect of that game that you might have had. Because there are certain moments in that game that is actually really fun, but it didn't improve on any of the parts that made it boring, you know? So it's just another sequel. But with all the hype behind it, it looks like a massive piece of dung because you were so excited that you had the most revolutionary game of all time. Red Dead 2 kind of had that, and then when it came out, it kind of fell flat a little bit. Everybody was super excited for the online stuff. Then the online stuff came out, and there was nothing to do. They rushed it out just so they could put everybody on this platform, get everybody excited to go online. And then what did you do? You didn't have anything for anybody to do, so all you got lit up with were a bunch of trolls who had come in, taken over a town, and started shooting everybody on sight. So what did you do? You immediately lambasted half your audience. My brother, for example, my brother hated Red Dead Online when it first came out. Hated it. Stopped playing the game because he hated it so much. And now he and I play it every single day to get the daily challenge. Because there's stuff to do now. So I'm glad I was able to convince him to stick with it. And I don't know if it was necessarily just me, or if it was a combination of me and our friends that kind of kept him in it. But I'm glad he does, because he is really into the game now, and he's actually pretty decent at it. He's also super high level compared to me, so it helps me when I'm trying to go back and play it every so often. But the hype was so real that my brother bought it day one, and as soon as he played it, immediately threw it in the trash for like 2 months. Was just like, nah, man, this game's terrible. I hate it. There's nothing to do. All I do is get sniped by these trolls. So it's not like this doesn't happen all the time. You know, all of the previous 3 Star Wars, 7, 8, and 9, all hype. All garbage at the end. All hype. So let's go back to kind of 4, 5, and 6 and what made them so special. It's the fact that you didn't have any of this knowledge. You know, it was the epitome of underhyping something. You had no idea who Luke Skywalker or the Force or Han Solo or Darth Vader or Princess Leia. You didn't know anything about them. You just kind of knew. You find out that Luke has been missing, assumed basically off the face of the planet as some nerf herder on Tatooine that would never in a million years get dragged into the Rebel fight. Only to find out that the Rebel fight was actually brought to him on mistake. Lo and behold, this former Jedi Master has been hiding out, taking care of him forever, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But you don't know how he became, you don't know how Obi-Wan Kenobi became a Jedi Master. You don't know how Luke got to his aunt and uncles here on Tatooine. Then they get sent into this gigantic galaxy world area that you only see a brief part of, right? So you go, you meet Han Solo. Now, Han Solo's got stories out the a-hole of all this stuff that goes on. Obi-Wan's got all these stories of the former greatness of the Jedi, but you only hear snippets here and here. Well, what does that do? That allows your imagination to run wild. And I can tell you this, there is no book, there is no song, there is no movie that is greater than your imagination. Your imagination is the most creative, intensive imagination in the history of the world. There is nothing better than your own imagination. You want to talk movies again? Let's go back to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know how much blood is in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? 0. There is no blood in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it is considered one of the most gorgeous movies of all time. That is simply because you have this crazy leather-faced masked man with a chainsaw running around, and your imagination carries it the rest of the way. Your imagination is what carries that movie and makes you think that you're seeing this ridiculously gory ending. Taxi Driver, 1976. When it originally came out, it was actually given an X rating for violence. So what did they do? They went in, and the last scene, they actually ended up desaturating the film and doing it entirely in black and white. Why did they do that? Because it took the blood color down to gray, and they were given an R rating instead of an X. That is a huge difference in terms of movies that can be shown in theaters and what movies can't be shown in theaters, especially nowadays. Back then it wasn't a huge deal, but only certain theaters would show X. Most movie theaters would show R, but very, very few would actually show X. So that was a huge distinction. Even bigger now, but again, another conversation for another day. When you watch that movie, it looks exactly as gory as you would expect it to be in color. I've seen both pictures. It's exactly as gory because I saw the black and white version first, and my brain turned it into color for me. My imagination did that. You don't know who Darth Vader is in The Empire Strikes Back. You just know that he killed Anakin's father, and then it turns out that he is Anakin's father. And then Obi-Wan sets it up perfectly in the beginning of Return of the Jedi when Luke goes, "Hey, you lied to me. You told me Darth Vader killed my father." And he's like, "Well, I didn't lie to you. Darth Vader killed Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker ceases to exist. It's now Darth Vader. So Darth Vader did kill your father, if you look at it the way that I explained it." Now, the reason that this is so important, such a vital moment in the original franchise, is because it gives you that idea you're not supposed to think of this as a standard movie. You are supposed to interpret things on a different level. That's what books do. That's why reading is such a fantastic spot, because you and I can both read To Kill a Mockingbird, but you can come away with a way more intensive reading and interpretation of that book than I do. Same with movies, but movies are kind of a dumbed down scale. You know what I mean? There's a lot more imagination involved when it comes to movies because they don't give you as much detail. There's not as much in-depth character review. And that's what made 4, 5, and 6 so great. The beauty of Darth Vader is you have no idea why he joins the dark side. He was supposed to be the one that kills the Emperor, brings balance to the Force, and instead he joins the bad guys. Why? Why? That's the beauty. You can think of 100 billion different reasons why that are all infinitely better than, oh, Padme died during childbirth. People die all the time. All right? I mean, Anakin himself brutally murdered several people throughout Attack of the Clones. No big deal. But his attachment to Padme is what drove him over the edge. Now, in my opinion, not knowing allows my imagination to run so much wilder than knowing, oh, he's upset over a woman? That's it? That's it? A woman? He's upset because the woman he loves can't be lived. Well, you know what? When I was in high school, when I was Anakin's age, the woman I loved didn't even talk to me. You know? Like, it's not like I could Jedi Force power my way into some superhuman role. I mean, it does not make any sense whatsoever for Anakin to be so upset that Padme dies that he joins the dark side. Because once he joins the dark side, what keeps him on the dark side? Padme's still dead. The whole reason, the whole conversation between Emperor Palpatine and Anakin Skywalker is the dark side allows you to do some abilities that some deem unnatural. He says it again in this new movie. Where's the unnatural power? Why would he have stayed why would he stay Vader? If the only reason he became part of the dark side was to save Padme, why is he still part of the dark side? Or is he now brainwashed because again, just the more you know, the less it makes sense. And that's simply because the mystery behind it is what makes it worth not knowing. Now we know what happens in the next one, and it's just a regurgitation of the same garbage. Regurgitation of the same garbage. You can't even have a new Sith Lord. I mean, it's just a rehash of everything else that you've already seen. So this brings me back to my main point. You've already seen it. It's already been watered down. And then on top of that, all you see all year round is, oh man, what an amazing end to the franchise. What a stupendous acting job by Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. What a fantastic cameo by Mark Hamill and blah 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 blah. And how awesome it is and how momentous of an occasion this is that we're about to see the ending of this franchise. And you get hyped. And then you get hyper, and then you get hyper, and then you get hyper. You get so hyped to the point that when you go see this movie, you're no longer there to enjoy the movie. You're expecting to see the biggest, grandest, most epic scale ever. And all you get is a movie you've already seen. Of course you're going to come out super upset, pissed off, and hate everything, and it's never going to be as good as the commercials make it look, and it's never going to be as good as everybody that loves Star Wars is telling you it's going to be, because it is no longer up to you. No longer up to you how it is. It is now up to what they make you think it is. And what they want you to think it is never as good as what you could come up with on your own. not to mention the countless fanfic and canon comics that are out there that are so much better done than this one, because they were done by people who actually pay attention and know the Star Wars lore and canon and all that stuff. And so it's just, there's just so much more better out there that there was no way that this or any other Star Wars movie could live up to the hype. Another example, Han Solo. Solo. Great movie on its own. But what does it add to the Star Wars franchise? Nothing. Nothing. You got this guy who can make the 14 parsec challenge, the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, which has never been done before. And then you watch him do it and you're like, that wasn't nearly as exciting as me not knowing. Because it never is. It never is. Your imagination is still the best book in the world. And no matter what you do, what you say, no matter how much Hollywood hypes it, it's never going to be as good as what you think it is. The reason comic books work is you get about 15 to 20 pages of information at a time. So it keeps you coming back. With a movie like the Avengers, I mean literally, Avengers Endgame, the exact same movie as Avengers Infinity War, outside of the last 10 minutes. I just took down a trooper wearing black and red. Same movie. Same movie. And you guys, and you went and you bought full price both times. Same movie. I know some people who went and saw that movie 4 or 5 times. Same movie. You could have saved yourself 2.5 hours by just watching the last 10 minutes online 2 weeks after the movie came out. Probably would have been just as good. But again, I digress. That's we live in a capitalistic society. I'm not supposed to be telling you guys this. This is why I don't grow on YouTube, because they know that I'm not friends with advertisers. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to put it in your face, and I'm going to hopefully open some minds and educate you guys. Because they don't want you hearing this information. They just want you to blindly follow, buy tickets, buy stuff, go there, go here, love this, love that. That's what they want from you. And the only way anything's going to improve is if someone like me comes in and expands your horizons. And that's what I hope to do. So let me know what you thought about the movie. If you really liked it, let me know that I'm way off base. Again, I enjoyed it as a standalone movie. If it would have just been Star Wars or just been The Rise of Skywalker and there's nothing else included with it, I think it would have been a super good 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes, whatever the movie ends up being. It's just the fact that there's so much more already there that it completely forgets and negates that. It's not very good as a Star Wars movie, but as a movie, I actually was very entertained. But again, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm way off base here, because this can relate to anything. I'm not just talking about movies. I'm talking about video games as well. Like, that's why I went and I talked about Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, there are certain... this also, I mean, just a little relation. This also is why I haven't been doing too much with the Final Fantasy VII remake yet, is because I don't want to overhype it and then be disappointed. Now, not that I think that I'm going to be disappointed, but if I go in expecting basically just a really, really remastered and nice-looking version of the first one, I'm probably going to be disappointed because there might be changes that they might make that I may or may not agree with. But if I go in basically thinking that it's just going to be, instead of, Tom Arnold, it's going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's version of Final Fantasy VII, I might be doing myself a disservice. So, again, it's the hype behind it, but your imagination is 10 times stronger than any hype you could think of. So don't listen to the hype. Don't listen to the propaganda. Go into it with an open mind, and you'll be much better served. You'll enjoy stuff much, much more. This is why they tell you don't go to film school, because it ruins movies for you. It did for me for a little bit, and it probably does for my brother a lot, because I nitpick on movies nowadays. But But for the most part, I've learned to go into it with an open mind as opposed to a narrow mind. And the hype will bring you into a narrow mindset, and you won't be ready for an experience that you might not have been expecting. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe the propaganda. Go into it with an open mind. Think about what you're going to see and how it relates to you and why you're going to see it, not just the hype behind it. And you'll usually go in with and come out with much better results. At least that's what I found. Either way, comment on the bottom if I'm foolish. If you think that I'm just some kooky, paranoid stoner, you can comment that too. But also let me know what other stuff you guys would like me to go over in the comment section as well, and I'll make little videos for that. So now that we've gone almost 25 minutes, I'm going to hopefully wrap this one up. I thank you guys for hanging out and chit-chatting, listening to my chit-chat. Do yourself a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell next to it. That way you know every time I do drop a new video, specifically one like these. And then hit that like button down below so everybody, all your friends, get to see what you like as well. That way we can hopefully maybe help the channel grow and enlighten some more minds. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me. Wishing YouTube, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.